So the idea is that there is a concept called servlet filters, and how that works is that I define a servlet filter like this. So what I actually write a simple plain class that implements an interface called filter javax.servlet.filter. Okay, and actually I call that as a login filter in this case, and that this interface has a method called doFilter. Okay, so also, is it possible to do anything else here? Okay, so here what happens is the filters get called, also what I need to do is I need to configure the filter in the web.xml. So here it goes. Here it goes. I say that, similar to the servlet mapping, what we need to do is we need to configure a filter and filter mapping. So filter name, filter class, and then filter mapping, filter name, URL pattern, right? So uh, now, where is my page?
Hello?
Yeah, please.
Is it a complete different interface from servlet?
Yes, yes. Servlet, we actually servlet HTTP servlet. We extend HTTP servlet. See, this is not an interface. This is an abstract class. See here, this is a class, and you can see pretty much an A icon, small icon there.
Yeah.
Okay, so one sec. What you can do within this particular thing within a filter is that you can actually every request. I'll explain that. Before that, I wanted to give it a try. And why this guy? This is interesting. I want to redirect him to some other place. It's not working, but what I'll do is I'll just explain further here, and we'll go from there. Okay. So filter actually works. If I configure, the this particular class is simple. Login filter. Okay, I implement login filter, and that has some, the method called, do filter. Okay, and says servlet request, servlet response. See here, they are called servlet request, not HTTP servlet request, but basic servlet request. Okay, this is an interface, and this is also an interface. javaweb.servlet.servlet response. Okay, and as per the configuration we have done in the web.xml, see here, I'm saying that, must use this filter the request for anything. You can specify the type of the URL, in the sense URL pattern. Say suppose if I say only reg star, okay, only for registration it will be invoked. So what I did was I mentioned as star. Okay, so when I do this, for any web request that is happening, this guy will be called. So just to specify that, how it really works, I mean, when I run, say I'm running home.servlet. See here, within the login filter, ideally it is supposed to redirect to the login page, but somehow it's not working. And okay, is there any login? No, even the basic login is also. I'm That's actually a bit interesting situation. Why is that white? I'm getting a white page, but I think it will take time to fix that particular thing. I mean, if it takes, then we will lose some time. So I'll not do that. So what I did was I hit the URL for registration servlet. Then I'm in the console. It is printing this data. See here within the login filter and slash register. Where did I write? Okay, the URL that is, yeah. I printed the get servlet path. So it actually printed this particular thing. Okay. So also if I do any other page, if I say not this, not the JSpace, we cannot run the JSpace in the web folder. So let me run the home. See here within the servlet filter and within the login filter, and it says /home registration, and even you call this. Okay, yeah, see here it says within the login filter login. So that actually means that you can filter the request and you can do lot of things. You can do lot of things using filters. Okay, so that is where I mean, this is servlet filters. Okay, I introduced you, there is something called interceptor as well, but I'll move on to the discussion on. I'll move on to the discussion on servlets. Sorry, struts. So what I can do is come on. So how struts works is there are some diagrams, so I want to use those diagrams. And meanwhile, if you want to follow me on the fly, what you can do is you can download struts framework. Download struts to download. Okay, and go here to the Apache website. Download the latest one. Download the very latest one, and I prefer that you download the full distribution. It's around 80 MB. You download the full distribution. Okay. So I'm reusing some other PPT and some parts of it. Maybe I'll upload the same to the Java folder in the Google Docs. How it really works is okay. So struts, how it really works is that now we know the model view controller pattern. Now I explained you the servlet filter, right? So servlet filters, model view controller, and there is something called interceptors as well that will intercept the request. Interceptor filter is is basically like you can have something called in the web.xml you configure the filters, or you can configure a chain of filters. Since if you really want to, I want it's something like gate. So suppose if you are president of America, then maybe that you will not directly, some people, I mean the ordinary people cannot meet you directly. So what they need to do is there will be multiple checks in between, right? So multiple gates in between, and you need to pass through those gates, the security checks kind of stuff. Okay, so something similar. Okay, in filters and interceptors, they give you that behavior. So every request you want to do something, any request that comes to you, if you filter through some filter, then you can actually do a lot of things. Okay, so that's where it starts. Actually, like I'm not talking about the history, because struts 1.1 or struts 1.star 1.x actually. So various versions in the struts 1.x, there was a different approach. But you don't need to really understand that now, because unless you do struts 1.1, you cannot understand the differences between 1.1 and 2.0, or like latest one is 2.2.3.4, I guess. So so what my focus is that I want to explain the struts model from a standalone perspective and the latest struts application. So you have a controller. We earlier what we were looking at was um, that's every servlet was a controller. The request was always coming to the servlet, and then servlet was fetching the data and setting in the request or session, and then forwarding the call to the JSP page to render the user interface, the presentation. Now here what happens is they built one um, uh, filter. It's called a dispatcher filter, and that filter is the controller. Filter is the controller. That's explicitly what you see will be is that you'll see a filter configured in the web.xml, and that's it. You will not configure any servlets. You will not configure any servlets in the um, web.xml. Rather, you configure struts needs another configuration file. Like web.xml, it needs another um, XML file called struts.xml. Okay, earlier with earlier version it was struts-config.xml, but now it is the struts.xml. So how it really works is that user sends the request. There is a filter dispatcher or dispatcher filter. Okay, that initially what happens is it reads the the I told you about the struts.xml. Okay, so it will read. You configure your servlets in the struts.xml. Okay, or I would say you don't really call that as a servlet. You have something called actions. Okay, and you write in a different set of classes. At the end, that everything will be implemented like a servlet kind of approach, but at the outset it looks a lot different from what we have been doing, because it becomes a lot easier. Okay, so there are filter dispatcher, then filters applied, execution of action, output rendering, return of the request, display of the result to the user. So interceptors I'll explain that as well. So servlet filter dispatcher, this is the one, and let us look at this. uh, the diagram. Oops. Yeah. So I think this I can stop at this particular diagram, and what I can do is I can hide the rest of them as well. I'll actually, like, let's do something, and then it becomes easy to understand, right? So what I did is I downloaded struts all, so that will have a lot of stuff. I'm extracting that 2.3.1.2. Okay. Okay. So this also has something called apps. Struts blank. Let's take this struts blanks application and see what it is having. 7J extract here. Yeah. I extracted and by mistake it actually everything happened in the same folder. So I moved this into another folder called this. Now what I will do is okay, I use this and I'll try to build a separate application. Okay, let me close this stuff. So Eclipse file new other. Let's create another dynamic Java application, dynamic web application. This is perfect. Let's call struts for example. Let me close other parts now because we don't need them. Yeah, this other. Excellent. So what we have is a struts application. Sorry, plain web application. It's a bare minimum plain application. Okay. So now what I'll do is, let me go here. Take this web.xml. Take this web.xml. Paste it here. Okay. And now let me show you the source of it. Oh, they made some more changes. Now there is some web lib. Okay, whatever is in the lib folder, I need to take it and take this one. Struts core. See, the struts related jars are there. So these jars also need to be there in my application. So I'm copying and pasting everything into lib folder. Okay. So let me close this and open this again. Now it should actually refresh. Fine. So next step is lib is done, classes, and say I have starts dot or I would say yeah. So meta enum, do I have anything here? There's nothing here. I don't need anything to worry about it. And what is this particular file? Okay, copy that as well. Starts and these two things, and I'll copy them into by enough. That should be another folder we need to have. Should I place it here or okay? I think I don't need to place it here. I can just place it in the SRC folder. Yes, then the application should be getting it directly. I don't need this classes folder here. And, what else I have? Example. What is this? SRC. Yeah, this is perfect. I'll make this and then I'll discuss about it. And this guy wrote something, I don't need this. Okay. So what I have in the struts, extends, struts, default, index, what exactly is? Yeah, this includes example.xml, and the example.xml has example support. My goodness, this guy needs this class. This guy needs example support. Next, I'm going to have this index.html. Just two things into. Okay. Loading. No, this is not required. Log in Java. It's taking time. Did I miss anything here? Oops. Run as run on the server. Let me see if there is some problem with this. Starts to example. Okay, the links are wrong. Okay, start to example is correct. Then example hello world dot JSP. Hello world dot JSP is not available. This is what it says. And why this is not available? Starts to blank. I must be copying this folder to webinf. Okay. It's more, yeah. English. Missing feature. Okay, menu. Okay. Menu dot action. Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So we are able to make a simple stats application with maybe 15-20 minutes of effort. So what really it takes to build a stats application is that what we need is we need the set of libraries. Okay. Now these are the libraries that we have. Maybe I'll commit this code to the SVN and you can pretty much have it. So these are the common files that it requires, the libraries. And then in the web.xml, if you look at it, and there is a difference between the presentation and this particular class, okay? Because this presentation is this starts 2.0 and starts 2.0 and latest one, there is a difference. So I'll just close. Earlier it was just dispatcher filter, but now there is the name they changed. The filter is same, but the filter approach is same, but they change the class name. So basically what we have is we have a filter, okay, and see here, this is what it has, right? So starts to org apache starts to dispatcher.ng dot filter dot starts prepare and execute filter, okay. And what it will do is this particular application needs is I mean you are configuring this filter for every request, right? And starts expects a particular file called starts.xml, starts.xml file, okay, starts.xml file. And so and this XML file here you can configure multiple things, but let's focus only on there's something called action, okay. There's something called action, and this particular thing hash include example, you declare actions, and also you can include other XML files. Other, struts benefit is that you can configure, you can implement the struts configuration in small XML files as well, and then finally include all of them into one particular file. So here I have example.xml. See here, what's happening here is this is how you configure. Okay, this is how you configure. You configure an action file, you configure an action class, like action is nothing but equivalent of servlet, but it is a lot different than the way we are actually know about the HTTP servlets. And here see this guy what he is doing. What we say is that there is a name and there is a class, okay. You specify login dot this configuration, this how you configure. You have basically a name, basically name and class, and then there's something called input, and you have result, different results, meaning the way we used to forward to the JSP page, right? Here what happens is if it is successful, there's something called you see here there's an execute method. I'll explain this particular part. This is where it becomes very interesting. I think we should actually have a breakpoint and S1 get username. Okay, this becomes really interesting. So application got redeployed. So let me refresh this particular page. Yeah, see here it printed the values. So let me go back to login.java. how we write, struts actions is that, and now we will not talk about any servlets. We will not get the data from HTTP servlet request. Rather, struts will get the data and place that into your code. It will place the code into it will, you will have your logic, sorry, whatever parameters are there. How we will do is that, it will actually like populate the values directly. So what I will have is a couple of them. I hate the way these guys wrote the code. Okay. Basically, how we can do that is that I can have, say, whatever form fields are there. Pay attention to this. Whatever form fields are there in my class, I need to have the equivalent of private variables. Okay. Followed by getter setter methods. I can pretty much generate this. What I can do is right click, source, generate getters and setters. Okay. Now this particular action support class, from there, we need to this is actually extends action support, right? And that in turn will have it has so many things, but it should have an abstract method, okay, called execute. Let me not worry about this for now. So what happens is that, overall flow, struts, interceptors, the struts filter, whatever filter we configured, it will actually, when you hit a request, it will create, for that login. If I look at the login JSP, form action equal to login. Okay. So this is the action that gets hit. And when you are hitting this, what it will do is it will check, the struts configuration file, and why this is login underscore name. It should be login only, right? One sec. Login. Okay. I think let me, okay, that's getting deployed. Yeah. So what happens is that it will check the struts configuration file when I hit something, the URL. If I look at, the generated HTML file, let me look at the generated HTML file. So form action equal to name equal to action. See here, login.action. Login.action. In the browser, you specify that, this is a login.action, not the servlet name, but you are following a different pattern. So when it faces this .action file, .action, the particular the end filter, it will actually like read from the XML file and says, okay, the action that you are hitting is login, and that means that which one I need to execute. Okay, that means that this is the, it will look at the class. Okay, fine, this is the class that I need to execute, and then it itself will read, HTTP request parameters. It will read the HTTP request parameters and then put all the properties. It will create a bean called, login bean, and it will set these properties, username and password, using the setter methods, and then it will call execute. So what you can do is you can pretty much write. You can pretty much write. You can pretty much write the logic here, and maybe we need to connect to the database. Say we need to connect to the database. You can do all that. If you open the JDBC connection, this is what you need to do, right? In the login, what you need to do, you open JDBC connection and then execute the query for login, right? And if it is success, then you say that, return success. If not, then you can also return error. So error is nothing but return error, just a message, plain string actually. So based on this, okay, based on this particular thing, please pay attention. Based on your based on the string that you return, finally, if I say, or you can even return something like this, okay, my next page. Say your login is successful. So what you can do is you can specify my next page. If I comment this, and okay, and what you need to do is that in the login action, you need to specify that what should be your next page. What is your there's something called result concept, okay. What I need to do is get this particular thing here, and say, maybe I'll just say menu.jsp, okay. So when I do this, I mean, I think overall the uh, redirection action, I can let me comment this. Let me do in my own way. Also, let me do error. And if I face error, I need to come back to this particular page. So let me redo this, and I'll just start with this particular file. This is a bit tricky in the first place, okay. I mean, I'm not sure whether I can do justice within the time that we are having, but my intention is to give you overall a small overview. Okay, I have login.jsp. Okay, so when I type something, oh, what's happening? What is happening? It's not going to my place. Let me have this. Let me have this. Let me go back to this particular thing. Let me return success. You can also say just this particular string itself. It need not be that you need to return this, but it's always better to speak in constants. Perfect. So where am I? Where am I? It does not matter. Okay. Oops. What's happening? Okay. Why the error is there is some why it's coming to this particular page?
I think you need to change my next page to success.
Sorry?
Yeah, do you have to change here success?
Oh, you okay? Okay. This you want me to change it to success, huh? Redirection action. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's give it a try. we need to redeploy this particular part. Let me run on this. Okay, before that, let me refresh this. Sometimes Eclipse does a lot of magic. Refresh everything and oops. Yeah. And what I need now is no such method. Example.login. Now the flow is working and it okay. Method equal to get parameter one. I did not do any change such as here, right? This file is as it is. I did not change anything. Okay, I'll just change this particular thing. Here, whatever I have, method equal to what is this? Is I don't think it is really required. Again, let me try to run this file. Slash login.jsp, right? Test. Yeah, perfect. So now it must have printed the login password username. Okay, so this is the flow. This is how it really works. And when I do changes to my class, let me see if it is when I return something and say in case of error I want to show something called, say, suppose error.jsp example. No, error.jsp. I guess it is there in the web content. I do have error.jsp. So let me do this once more. No, I need to rerun this application. And how come I have this HTML file there? No, I must be having this file here. Okay, let me one sec. There is some error. The content of element must match param list interceptor execution. See here. Okay, so let me run the application again. I'm running the example HTML. Come on. Why are you taking so much time? Starts 2.0 TLD like this one. Oh, sorry. No, that's indeed, it was a mistake. I should not be doing that. Yeah, I did a mistake. I'm sorry about that. What I need to do is I need to run this index. That was an XML file. And by mistake I moved it to web content. So now what is my action? I mean, basically, like, let me do the JSP part alone. Okay. Okay, so it's still working. So if I say error in my login.jsp, instead of success, if I return error, and the application need to redeploy it. It needs to be redeployed. So instead of waiting for it, let me run this. So overall, what I tried to do was that, download the struts XML struts complete package, and try to build, using the jars. Try to build. See here, it went to error.jsp. Whatever, that's only in case of exception you need to forward, but this particular JSP has just, if there is any exception, this is used only for a different purpose, but I'm just trying to show you how the forwards work. Right? This is about the introduction to struts. So basically what you have is, I explained you the concept of filter, how filters work. So struts framework is built on top of, it's built, as a model view controller. How here the model view controller works is that, there is no problem with the view. Model view controller, view is nothing but the presentation, the JSP files. There should not be any doubts about it. Whatever is the MVC framework you use in the Java presentation, in the web application, the presentation is always HTML or JSP. Okay. So the controller part, who takes the control, any request that you type comes to the interceptor, and my web.xml. So anything which will come to this particular, I typed something, yeah. So this particular filter, okay. So it will come to the filter, then it starts when you are loading it. In the first time when this filter gets loaded, it will actually look for a file called struts.xml. Okay, it will, when it is loading itself, it will look for the file called struts.xml, and then based on the struts.xml, it will create its own configuration. It will have in memory copy of this configuration. So if someone types index.action, say, let me do now. If I type, see here, where did it go? It went to the index HTML page, or the particular action executed here. Hello world. When you type index.action, then what is happening is, it's going to this particular class. hello world, and in the execute there is nothing, just a message is set. Okay, and what is the message? Hello world message. And where is this getting from? In case this is coming from a property file, that's again another thing. This feature is under construction. Our hello world message is struts is up and running. And missing message, the feature is under construction. Please try again in the next interaction. So, I mean, there are multiple things that are there in this sample application. But this thing, let me discuss that. Or let me give you an overview of this. So, generally in the web applications, what you really have is, you have mostly like you build a website and that you need to support multiple languages, right? So, suppose if you are in Europe, and what happens is every country has its own language, and for that matter, even in India. So, but in Europe, mostly the applications are, customized to every language. So, if I'm in Spain, I would like to see my website completely in the Spain. So, how we can make that happen? What we do is we build the same application, single application, and every message that is displayed, every text that is displayed in the browser, you try to specify the particular language related file. So here if you look at this package.es, ES stands for Spain related stuff, Spain country code. Okay. So if you type, see here the messages, this is in the Spain message, okay, Spain language. So from, if you look at this particular thing, what I'm doing is set message get text, and that is the message. This particular message is nothing but hello world. I'm getting it from this particular thing. For to get the, I'll not explain how this is completely working because sorry, but here what is happening is that it will read the message from the property file, and based on the locale, and the sense if the user belongs to say if he is calling from Spain, then this will use file from package underscore es.properties. It will get the messages from there. Or you can explicitly also you can specify that you can set the localization and get that particular thing from that particular file. Okay, so just give me a moment. So how struts work? Struts are for that matter any application is that localization and internationalization or multi-language support is very very important aspect, and it is achieved through this property files. The benefit that you get with this property file approach is that tomorrow if I need to support say French language, it's very easy for me. What I do is I'll create another property file called package underscore fr that properties. So and then it works. So as simple as that. So one other lesson here is not specific to the application, struts or anything, is that when you are building your application, try never hard coding any message that you see in the screen. Say even the login.jsp that we saw here. So what you can do is you can actually this also you should be able to key. Okay, you should be able to localize this. This should be, it's possible. Okay, what the value that you want to display, the label that you want to display in Spain language, what is the equivalent word of login? You need to customize complete page. I'm actually explaining a design concept, right? So now going back to the struts flow. So you have a struts.xml file that where you can define your actions, or you can even define your struts configuration in a separate file. So in this sample it is example.xml. okay, so here I can pretty much say that okay fine, if someone hits my something called login.action, if you see login.action, and then what I need to do is I need to execute a class called login. Example is the package name. You need to specify the complete class path. Okay, and then whatever you are returning from this login Java. So we understood that the properties how they are set. Now the execute method, here you write your logic, and return whatever you want to return, you return. Okay, if I return success, corresponding whatever struts action is there, result type is there, that gets executed in the XML file, right? So I mean, it will go to the control, will go to that particular page. And also, if you notice some difference, if you look at the URL, it says this is my application, right? Only till this point is my application. But then there is something called example again. That is coming from, if I want to, define, namespace. Look at this. Package and namespace. Here, I can pretty much say something else. If I say that, hello, then your URL should be, completely everywhere. It should be hello slash. Okay. So this is where you are actually able to introduce a virtual folder structure as well. In the sense user thinks that, okay, there is a folder called example on the server, but it is not so. It is only that how you are configuring your struts, right? So you have the core thing, just to brief, summarize the struts stuff is that you have a configuration file, struts.xml, and you can have any number of other additional XML files, and you can include them in the struts.xml. And important line is that you configure struts in the web.xml. You configure the struts filter in the web.xml, and you should have the required jars in the web.infl folder. Then go on, build your application. You build your JSPs, you build your action classes. The benefit or beautiful thing with struts is that you never need to really worry about, whether I'm really giving the request.get parameter. Am I really giving the correct parameter name or not? You don't need to worry. I mean, but you need to still worry. You need to still worry whether, suppose if I give here something else, just user. And in the login, if I say, if my property is just username here, and if there is a mismatch, believe me, this will never be, always you will never get the correct value. It will be null. Username will be null. So you need to make sure that the property names that you give in your HTML and the one that you configure in the Java classes, that should be same. But rest otherwise it's same. The styles, the JSP logic, everything is same. But yeah, one more small thing that I want to introduce is that I did not pay attention is struts comes with lot of tag libraries. Okay, so here I will not explain this in detail, but see here, instead of if you look at this simple form, s:form action equal to login, and then s.text field, s.password. See here, this is different from your regular syntax because this is a struts tag library. So because that's the reason I know that I need to discuss about this. So I explained you about the tag libraries yesterday and day before, how we build tag libraries, and struts comes with the different tag libraries, and you need to actually pay attention to these tag libraries. You can learn on internet. You can pretty much look at struts related, any tutorial should help you with. But then the fundamentals are this. You have the web.xml, you configure a filter, and then the filter, you have struts.xml and any other related struts XML files that you can include in the struts.xml. And in the basically like in this struts, you configure different actions. The term called action, is similar to the servlets. So when user hits some URL, what should happen? Which class need to be executed, and what kind of response need to be displayed. So this is the struts. Any questions? I'll commit this code into SVN path, okay, so that you'll have some easy. You can pretty much start from this file, or you can replicate something else, and then maybe that you can, if you run into problems, you can pretty much look into this particular thing. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
In the struts, where we write the business logic, like in servlets, we do get, do post.
That is the execute method. The execute method is nothing but